This is the Good Government Show.
It's not about being mayor, it's about doing things as mayor. Growing up in Saratoga, there were firefighters and police officers that lived on my street. Now we have firefighters and police officers that fly in from Idaho for their shift. These people will run into your home on the worst and scariest day of your life, and they can't afford to live here anymore. That to me is a community that's increasingly disconnected. My calling card, my friends will tell me, has always been like, if all of you who are doctors, lawyers, engineers got involved in local government, our local government could operate so much better. We're all absolutely really busy, but an act of service can be something as simple as checking in on a friend. And I think there is something like that we can do, whether it's once a month, once a quarter, or more often than that I think can be really meaningful.
When I met the mayor of Saratoga, California, he'd only been mayor for 30 days, a very short time as mayor, but he has a good idea of what he wants to do and how he wants to do it. Welcome to the Good Government Show. I'm Dave Martin. First, help us share the message of good government by liking us and sharing us where we are on Facebook, X, YouTube, Instagram, and Blue Sky. Please share our show with your friends and review us where you're listening, and join our Good Government Show community. Check out our website for the link. Belal Aftab became mayor of Saratoga in December of 2024. We sat down and talked earlier in the year at this year's Conference of Mayors Legislative Conference in Washington, D.C. You can hear his enthusiasm for his city and for his new role. Saratoga is part of the San Francisco Bay Area, the heart of Silicon Valley. It's a residential community made up in large part of people who work in some of the biggest tech companies in America. One of the issues that the new mayor is dealing with is housing, a problem across the nation and certainly in his area. While he knows he doesn't have a solution, he'll tell you what's important is knowing that the challenge exists and knowing that's an issue that needs focus. And as you'll hear, Mayor Aftab, he doesn't speed. And he's keeping an eye out for anyone who's on their phone while behind the wheel of his car. You're going to hear about that. I always like talking to a new mayor and a young mayor. You can hear his excitement about the job and about public service. His approach to governing is make a plan. He says it doesn't have to be a perfect plan, but having a plan and the flexibility to improve the plan means you're ready to lead. So coming up, you're going to hear from new Mayor Belal Aftab of Saratoga, California. What if World War I never happened? What if these three royal cousins, King George of England, Kaiser Wilhelm of Germany, and Tsar Nicholas of Russia, chose peace over pride? Good Government Show executive producer Jim Ludlow has just released a new book. The Royal Cousins is a gripping alternate history that imagines how diplomacy and courage could have stopped a war that took 22 million lives. If only they'd used the principles of good government. Download The Royal Cousins now on Kindle. It's powerful, timely, and just 99 cents. And all the proceeds support our work here on The Good Government Show. Just search The Royal Cousins on Amazon today. Welcome to The Good Government Show. We're talking with the newest mayor of Saratoga, California, Belal Aftab. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
30 days.
30 days.
You've been mayor for 30 days.
To the day I counted in the middle of that meeting about a couple hours ago.
30 days.
Yeah.
What have you learned in 30 days?
Oh, wow. What have I not learned?
Were you prepared?
I think so. Going into it, you never know that it's actually going to come together until it finally does. I'm a big believer in not getting too far ahead of yourself. But
okay.
I got a lot of coffees and had a lot of good conversations with people before I came into the seat to get a sense of what it would be like, but also sort of how to be most effective coming into it. And so I do feel like I'm ready and have a plan that I want to get to work on.
When was the moment you said, oh my goodness, what have I gotten myself into? Was it during the campaign?
After I got elected, it was a couple of months ago where I felt, okay, it's looking pretty likely that I'll get to be mayor come December. Our city has a rotational policy for mayor based off election results. And so I would say in September, it started looking like, okay, this might happen. So I think I had a mini freak out for a second there.
Okay.
Like, I'm going to be mayor of this city? I grew up here. Like, I can't believe that. So that was a pretty overwhelming feeling for about a day or so, but then I also started getting really excited. I'm a big believer though in like, it's not about being mayor, it's about doing things as mayor.
Okay.
And so I think what I keep telling people is like, don't congratulate me now. Let me see what not just I get done as a mayor, but we get done as a council, and then congratulate us and not me.
When you said you were going to run for mayor, what did your friends say to you?
Well, I ran for city council.
Okay.
And I got elected in 2020. Actually, ran in 20, lost, and then ran in 22 and won.
Okay.
I don't think many of my friends expected it. And they're like, this is what, I also think I'm the kind of person that when I get involved in things, I was on our city's traffic safety commission for a number of years. I don't think I really shared too much publicly that I was doing that kind of work. And so I think my friends were genuinely surprised by it, did poke a little fun at it, but that's the fun in life, right? Yeah.
So you mentioned this before, and I wanted to come back to this. Your first foray into government was, I think you said, the Traffic Safety Commission. Just annoyed at traffic?
Yeah, well, it's actually a really a funny story.
Funny story. Good. We like that.
Yeah.
All right.
So I just moved back to Saratoga into the Bay Area and really wanted to get involved in my community. I had lived in a few other places, and I was like, you know what? I grew up in Saratoga. I want to be back. And I just went to a city council meeting and I saw that there's all these commissions that they were recruiting for. And so the first one I checked out was a library commission. And that's because I, as a kid, spent a lot of time there.
Sure. Who doesn't like go to the library, getting a book, right?
Exactly. And you know, on the nerdy side, and I'm proud of that. I love reading.
Okay, good. Me too.
But basically, when I reached out to them, they're like, actually, that commission's pretty full. And we're just going to be reappointing the same people. Why don't you take a look around? And that's actually how I came across the Traffic Safety Commission. And when I started asking around.
So you got booted off the library board.
Well, I never got on it in the first place to begin with.
Okay.
But actually, it's a funny thing. There's this.
Have you gone back and said, now I'm the mayor. I can check out any book I want anytime.
Well, my sister jokes. She's like, you probably just ran for this so you can get your library fines waived. But
those 10 cents a day will add up.
They adds up, right? I mean, I borrowed those books when I was like 7 or 8. I don't know if I ever put them back.
Right.
But no, I think
please return the Hardy Boys.
Hardy Boys and Goosebumps. Those are my two go-tos.
Those are your books?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
All right.
And actually the Boxcar Children as well. I love those as well.
Okay.
Yeah, so
library. Sorry, we got off track.
Let's
library to traffic. Go ahead.
Traffic.
Yes.
The funny part about traffic safety is it affects all of us, right? Like
sure.
When you walk outside of your home, it's the first place where you might meet your city is when you get into the road. We had a public center that used to be a church that the city ended up buying a number of years ago. And this public rec center is used by a lot of community groups, including the mosque that I grew up going to. And so they actually were going to do some construction, which meant that they were going to move some of the parking way down the street, which meant that a lot of the members of my community, including my mom and my extended family and friends, would have to walk a lot further. And one of the things our city is known for is our beauty. One of the ways in which we preserve our beauty is by not having a lot of streetlights. So that very much became a safety and a safety issue.
Sure, especially, at the end of the day. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. At night, because a lot of these events end up being at night.
Sure.
And so it sort of hit really close to home to say, hey, like these are really important problems that need solving. So I know there's a very long-winded way of saying it, but our Traffic Safety Commission is an awesome thing that we have.
This is a podcast. We can talk all night if you want.
It's an awesome thing that our city has that not many cities do, where we basically appoint residents to work with our city staff and serve as a forum for any resident if they want to if they have a complaint about excessive speeding or people not stopping when they're supposed to. They have a commission where they can submit that complaint to, and we can see if we can do something about it and put city resources towards it.
Do you drive differently now?
I think I do now. Absolutely. Well, when you see the data, right? Like people our cars are quieter than ever,
yes.
Especially electric vehicles. I think because they're also just more developed, people drive faster than they used to. And so as a result of that, I think I'm just more aware of the fact that, I might be going faster than I think I am.
Do you ride a bike?
I
do.
A
bike city? Is it a bike-friendly city?
Not yet. We're getting better. We're getting better. We put in a lot of bike lanes in the last couple of years.
Okay.
We are sort of a great access point to the Santa Cruz Mountains where folks do go for a lot of biking. And so we're doing a lot, and we have done a lot the last couple of years to add more bike lanes and to make it as biker-friendly as possible.
So maybe not everyone is familiar with Saratoga, California. You're in South San Francisco Bay. Where are you exactly? What's going on there?
We are in the heart of Silicon Valley. And so the beauty of Saratoga is that we were created as a city with the intent of being a residential community in a really fast-growing region. So all the cities around us are cities you've heard of because they have really famous technology companies. You've probably heard of Apple, or
Apple.
Cisco,
Yeah,
or
that
that's a
sounds
fruit
familiar.
company. Or Google or Netflix. All of the
Google I've heard of. Yeah.
Okay, Google it.
Right,
Try it.
right.
The headquarters of all those companies are a 10 to 20 minute drive from Saratoga, and so we have a lot of residents who work at these companies, including the older tech companies of yore, the Intels, the AMDs, the Fairchilds, Raytheon, so including and Nvidia too. So a lot of folks who work at these companies live in Saratoga because they want to be in a city that's beautiful by the mountains and has great schools.
When you ran for office, what were the problems that you said you were going to tackle?
The three biggest ones: traffic safety, housing, and crime. On traffic safety, my background's coming from the Traffic Safety Commission, and I think
And you drive better now?
I do, and to try and encourage more of that.
Set an example.
Yeah,
Set an example.
Try and set an example.
Because nobody wants to. That was the mayor speeding. Yeah. Did you see that guy?
It is something I've thought of at times where I'm like,
please tell me you don't have a Porsche.
I do not. No, I definitely don't.
Okay.
But there are times where I'm like reluctant to maybe honk at someone because I'm like, wow, maybe someone might look at me and see who I am. But no one really knows who their city council member, let alone mayor or member of Congress are.
Yeah.
But one thing I do observe all the time where I'm very tempted to honk my horn is at stoplights now, people will look down and look at their phones. And so it happens probably like once or twice a week where I'll be behind someone and they won't realize the light's gone green because you can tell they're looking down. So that's a really funny one. On the housing front, we have a lot of state housing laws that are pushing a lot of cities to build more and more housing. To be clear, I think we need more housing. We are in the midst of a housing affordability crisis, but there's a question of
especially in California.
Especially in California.
I mean, this is a problem nationwide, but California's been especially hard hit. Prices are, especially in your part of the world.
Absolutely, yeah. Look,
insane.
We are the median cost of a home in Saratoga is $4 million. And so it's harder and harder for young families to move to Saratoga. We have some level of declining enrollment in our schools. And so when we're talking
$4 million, now that's a fair piece of change for a house.
That is and it means that because that's also increased so much on a relative basis, relative to incomes over the last couple of decades. When my family moved to Saratoga, which was in the 80s, you had a lot more young families that could move there with kids at a young age.
Right.
Now, when we do have families that are moving in, they might be at a higher income level with older kids that are going to middle school and high school. The canonical example I use is our soccer league. If that had about 1,500 kids when I was growing up, now we're struggling to get to about 400.
Wow.
Yeah.
I believe I've read that San Francisco has the highest housing prices in America. That's got to filter down to Saratoga. Is that correct?
Absolutely. I think the entirety of the Bay Area is like that. The one thing I notice is, look, we have an incredible city. It's beautiful with really great people. But the cost has gotten so expensive that even a lot of my friends who grew up in the area who are doing just fine, $4 million is a pretty expensive. That's a lot of change.
I live in Brooklyn, and let me tell you, I mean, that's expensive for Brooklyn.
Yeah, and so they're moving to other parts of the Bay Area where things feel a bit more affordable. Look, someone called it Dutch disease, right? Where like the blessing and curse we have is we have a lot of success, especially when it comes to the tech companies. I think a lot of other regions and cities would kill for the kind of economic growth that we have and the business creation. But I would say the rest of our policies across the board have not kept up with how fast our region has grown.
As a mayor, a new mayor, and I'm sure you'll find out things, the old expression, I didn't know what I didn't know. Yeah. You'll find out the things you didn't know. What do you think you're going to be able to do to have any effect on housing prices?
I don't know. That's a really good question.
Get back to me in 4 years.
Get back to me in 4 years. Yeah, but I also don't think about it in terms of...
There's only so much you can do as mayor. And I mean, you're not a real estate agent. You're not controlling the market. But is there anything that you can do? I
think one of the best things we can do is be more understanding about the problem at hand. I think that, and help people understand what problem we're trying to solve. I'll give you a really simple example. Growing up in Saratoga, there were firefighters and police officers that lived on my street. Now we have firefighters and police officers that fly in from Idaho for their shift. These people will run into your home on the worst and scariest day of your life, and they can't afford to live here anymore. That to me is a community that's increasingly disconnected.
Right.
And I think that sometimes when you hear about the construction of housing, there's kind of a narrative of fear that call it low-income housing, call it project, whatever you want to call it. The reality of it is that there are a lot of people that need a place to live that are great and contributing members of society, and we have to provide for them as well. And I think if we don't, we're going to feel the consequences of that.
Is the city open to ideas like multifamily units, attached housing, two family condos kind of thing, more density in smaller areas, not the single family house, the kind of like McMansion on an acre and a half of land? Are these things that you're attacking and working on and discussing?
It's a community conversation on all those fronts, right?
Okay.
Saratoga is largely single-family homes. We have a very small commercial district, and a few commercial districts, to be clear. We have been mostly single-family with a handful of multifamily areas over the years. The reality of it is that some of this is out of our control, and that's because the state is mandating a lot of multifamily housing goes in. And so my approach on this is I would rather us control that and make decisions about how and where and what that multifamily housing looks and feels like, as opposed to if we continue saying no to that, we're going to lose complete and total control, which is what's happened. Basically, there's...
so you're talking about a little bit more local rule.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because basically the state's passed a bunch of laws in California over the last couple of years that have taken away a lot of that local control. And that's because a lot of cities have consistently said no to new housing, to multifamily units. They've made it harder for ADUs and things like that to be built. And so I think we have to sort of see that writing on the wall. And basically what's happened at multiple points in time in the last couple of years, including for Saratoga, by the way, is we've lost complete and total control where any developer, provided they meet some objective standards, can build whatever they want. And we only enter into those periods if the state of California considers us to be out of compliance. And we will be out of compliance at a future date if we don't start saying yes and building more.
What did you know about housing before 30 days ago?
I think when you're on a council in any part of the country or the world, the most common issue is housing. Where is it going to go? What is our city going to look and feel like? And I think it's an important look. I think it's a really important question, right? You move to a place because you like that place, or you want to be there, and you want to build a home and a life and a career there.
You said you came from the tech industry. Are you still working in tech full time?
I do. I do think tech is sort of the industry of the Bay Area.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I don't know if I came from the tech industry. I kind of grew it. I started my career in finance and then eventually moved into tech.
Okay.
I do think it is a really cool place to be, and I feel lucky to work in it.
How has that prepared you to be mayor?
I think my private sector career has absolutely prepared me for being in local government. And I think the beauty of our council is we have 5 people with 5 different backgrounds. In terms of my background...
Do you all get along?
I think we do.
Okay.
Yeah. And I actually think some disagreement is good.
Yeah.
Because if we were all voting 5-0 on everything, then we're probably not pushing ourselves enough to think about what's best for the city. And I think...
Or saying alternative points of view.
Yeah, or saying alternative points of view. I think the diversity of opinions is quite important. And just to add that point, look, technology's changed the world, right?
Sure.
Whether it's the way we communicate with one another, the way in which things get done, even all the upcoming AI stuff. And I think having an understanding of that technology, especially what's on the cutting edge, and then understanding how that's impacting society, and then both from 2 perspectives, like how can that make our government better? But then also how does that help us understand what our residents are going through, right? For example, I think technology in some ways has really improved things, but also made things worse. We are more willing to communicate via phone or a text, as opposed to saying hi to the person next door. And so I do think there's a good and bad with things like that we have to understand as a local government, and make sure that we're working to meet our residents where they are and improve their quality of life.
In terms of the world of mayors, you are a younger mayor. Would you encourage other people to get involved?
Absolutely. I would say my calling card, my friends will tell me, has always been like, if all of you who are doctors, lawyers, engineers got involved in local government, our local government could operate so much better. And so, yes, I'm mayor, but I feel like I have so many friends and colleagues and folks that I know that would be 10 times better than the mayor I would ever be.
All right, we're going to find out your philosophy of government 30 days in, right after this. The Good Government Show is sponsored by Our. That's OUR for our community. Get involved. We hear that all the time from government leaders. Our co-brands with your government's name and logo. Your staff and the people you serve are connected and part of your community. From any device, your members provide reliable data and meaningful feedback. Ask a question like, do we want more parkland or better homeless services? More engaged conversations come through the Our app. Visit Ourco, that's OURCO.com, and book a demonstration. Once you wrap up this episode of The Good Government Show, give a listen to our friends over at Good News for Lefties. This daily podcast highlights news stories that show there's more good news out there. Other people in government are really trying to do the right thing. That's Good News for Lefties. Listen where you're listening now. 30 days in, define good government.
I think we have to think about who we are as a city, right? The funny thing about cities, states, countries, it's like, what is the story you tell yourself?
Okay.
Because that's kind of what they are. To me, the story I want to tell about Saratoga and about what we as a government do is that we have a city that is welcoming, safe, kind, and vibrant, that is accessible and feels like home for everyone. And that we as a government, as a city council, as a city staff, are doing everything we can to make that reality possible.
All right, so I'm not trying to put you on this spot, but I asked you that question. You pulled out your phone because you wrote this down. What made you write it down?
There's some sort of businessman, I'm forgetting his name, who had this like great quote where it's like, you know, I'm getting this wrong. It was a quote from T. Boone Pickens, by the way.
Okay,
yeah,
good.
Which is basically like, you know, showing up to life. Like, if you show up to life without a plan, it's a pretty dumb approach, right?
Okay.
Sometimes it doesn't have to be the best plan, but you need a plan. It just makes life a lot better. I think if I'm gonna be thoughtful and try and do what's best for our residents, I'm not saying this well, but
I think you're doing okay. So basically what you're saying is you wanted to have something written down. You wanted to have a plan. You wanted to have like a touchstone that you could move forward from.
Yeah, I
Did I summarize correctly?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's just about...
We're here to help you out, Mr. Bear.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. I need all the help I can get, but I just think writing, planning, goes a long way for me personally.
Okay.
Just to make sure that I'm holding myself accountable and then also able to get the things done that I want to get done.
Well, that leads me to our next question. How are you going to judge your success? How are you going to know if you're doing a good job? I mean, your election's 3 years away. So how are you going to know?
Well, my election is in a little less than 2 years.
Okay, so it's a 2-year term?
Yeah, for running for council again.
Okay.
Did we do good for the city and our community? It's that simple.
How will you know? How will you know if you did good?
Well, there's a metrics-based approach, and then there's how do we feel.
Okay.
On a metrics approach, we want to see how do we do on traffic safety, the number of accidents, number of road deaths, things like that, being really mindful of that. In terms of our neighborhoods, did we plan enough to actually plan for the change that's coming our way? On crime, how do we do there? Sometimes rises or dips in crime are a bit out of our control, but what did we do as a city to make sure we were engaging our residents and giving them the resources and our law enforcement to do what they needed to do? So I think there's a lot that we can make a list of, and writing it down is an important way of doing that, to look back and say, how much of this list did we get done?
So moving forward, how do you want people to hold you accountable? How do you want them to give you feedback?
I think the beauty of being on a city council and being mayor is you're always getting feedback, whether it's via email, whether it's in the grocery store, whether it's people calling your phone sort of ringing nonstop as part of this, is keep the feedback coming, right? We're not going to get everything right. We're going to try to get more things right than wrong. And we'll go from there. But I think the best way is, well, 2 ways is really the feedback and elections.
If people don't like what's going on, what would you like them to do?
Let me know, but also get involved. Like I really believe in listening, and I may not agree with you, but I'm definitely persuadable, and I'm willing to listen even if I hold a different position.
But getting involved is hard. People have families, people have lives, they have work, they work long hours, they have, kid youth football games on the weekend. How do they get involved?
Small steps. I think that we this morning we heard Vivek Murthy speak, who's the outgoing Surgeon General.
Yep.
Right. And he said, what are keys to a life of fulfillment? Relationships, purpose, and service. And service doesn't mean you have to do 20 hours of community service a week. It can mean an act of service once a month or every 3 months. We're all absolutely really busy, but an act of service can be something as simple as checking in on a friend. And I think there is something like that we can do, whether it's once a month, once a quarter, or more often than that I think can be really meaningful.
Or serving on the city library committee or the traffic safety
absolutely.
committee.
There's you can do all that, but also just showing up to a meeting, right? Reaching out to a commissioner, reaching out to a council member and sharing your opinion. I read every email that I get. I may not respond to all of them, but I read everyone. It's a way for me to stay connected and hear from the community.
You were on the city council. Now you're 30 days in as mayor. What would you like people to know about government in your town, in Saratoga?
I think the beauty of democracy and the beauty of our government is that it's a democracy, right? And what that means is that the people can shape it. And if you want to get involved, and again, getting involved can be as simple as sending a note to a council member or to all of the council. Like, you really have the ability to influence what happens in your city.
Even on an individual level?
Absolutely.
Okay. You're a newsmaker now. Where do you get your news from?
Where do I get my news from? I read a variety of sources. I would say primarily the Wall Street Journal, New York Times, the Mercury News, but also BBC. I try and get a variety of world perspectives on things, just because I do think I don't watch cable news or anything like that.
Do you read about yourself?
Myself? There isn't too much out there.
Not yet.
No. Yeah, I mean, we have pretty limited newspaper coverage.
Yeah.
We're really lucky to have one reporter who covers us out of the Bay Area News Group, out of Saratoga News. And so I do read the articles that Saratoga News publishes, absolutely, because it's important to know what people are reading and what they think.
Who inspires you? Do you have a political hero?
I was actually going to say Stephen Colbert.
Okay.
I just think he's a really funny guy who has had a remarkable life story, but also just knows how to make hard things easy to digest.
Stephen Colbert is your hero.
I just really appreciate him in so many ways.
Good. Well,
Yeah.
Other people have said Jon Stewart, so you're right in line
Probably
with that.
Or I have to say Steph Curry. Right,
Okay.
I'm a huge basketball fan,
Okay.
huge Warriors fan. That would be a dream to meet him. But I just think the way he carries himself, and the Warriors, and just he's such an incredible role model for his teammates.
You're the first politician who's ever answered that with a sports hero.
Yeah.
So, Is running for office something you always thought about, or getting involved in politics and government? Were you the class president?
I was not the class president. Absolutely not.
No?
No, I really didn't think I would do this. My friends might have said otherwise, but I just really like talking to people, hearing about what's going on and seeing how we can solve those problems.
All right, I'm coming to Saratoga. We're going out for dinner. What's the dish of Saratoga? What's the favorite of the Bay Area?
Oh wow, we have so many incredible restaurants that it's really hard to choose from.
All right.
What is you have a favorite cuisine?
I want to know. I want you to take me to the best of your town.
Okay, if you come to our downtown, which we call the Village, there's no shortage of great restaurants. We have Hero Ranch Kitchen, which is kind of like American Asian fusion, which is phenomenal. We have some very high-end, really famous Bay Area restaurants like La Fondue and the Plumed Horse. You're thinking like $4 sign category, but also like for very special occasions. You'll see a lot of problem kids, but also a lot of really fancy stuff there. We have Anchor's Fish and Chips, which is a great sort of more accessible fish and chips spot. We have an incredible set of cafes like Sue's Gallery or Big Basin Cafe or Tea's End. We have a boba spot.
What's the dish?
Where?
Anywhere of those places. What's the dish we're having? What's the dish that says you're in the South Bay?
Oh. See, the thing about the South Bay and Saratoga is we're very diverse, right? We're 53 or 55% Asian, I believe. And so I feel like it's hard to say there's like one dish that defines it. Okay, if there's one thing, it's probably like Dutch Crunch and sourdough bread. Like those are two different kinds of breads, but to me, Dutch Crunch is a Bay Area bread.
What is
right?
that?
It's like a bread that's kind of like prickly and crispy on top.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That is pretty unique to the Bay Area. That is one of my favorites.
Dutch Crunch.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say a Dutch Crunch sandwich anywhere is a relatively common Bay Area thing. For all the restaurants I mentioned, like even we have great Italian restaurants as well, Florentines, Bella Saratoga. So just depending on what you're looking for, I can give you a recommendation.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. This is called the Good Government Show. We always bring it back to good government before we go. Give me an example of good government project, either I know you're 30 days in as mayor, that you're sinking your teeth into now, or you were able to get through as a city council person.
I think one of the things we've done well in Saratoga is to make our government more accessible and transparent. And I'll give a funny example because we're using technology and AI to do that.
Okay.
So in Saratoga in the last 2 years, our city has started using a tool called Hamlet, which basically records and then provides a one-page summary of what just happened at a city council meeting. City council meetings can be anywhere from 45 minutes to 7 hours. And so you
Yes,
as a
they
resident can go and you can say, hey, what was decided at this meeting? And so that to me is a way of making our city government much more accessible.
Sure.
So that people can understand what's actually going on.
And it doesn't tax them. It's like, I can read it one page.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Belal Aftab, the new mayor, the brand new mayor, 30 days in, or this is January 2025. You've been at the office for 30 days. Good luck.
Thank you.
Have fun.
I appreciate it. It was great meeting you.
Great to meet you. Thanks for coming. Thanks for being on the show.
Thanks.
After you get done with this episode, hear more good government stories with our friends at How to Really Run a City. Former mayors Kasim Reed of Atlanta and Michael Nutter of Philadelphia and their co-host, journalist and author Larry Platt, talk with guests and other mayors about how to really get stuff done in cities around the nation. Check them out where you're listening now or through their nonprofit news site, thephiladelphiacitizen.org/podcasts. When you live in Silicon Valley, knowing the tech industry could only help. As he explained, it's important to see how tech is changing both how people are using it and how technology can improve government. He also said the diversity of opinions are important. That, to me, says he's listening, or at least trying to listen to everyone. And that's how you get good government. And some really good advice from Mayor Belal Aftab of Saratoga, California. He says, put down your phone and say hi to your neighbors. Good advice. That's our show. Thanks for listening. Please like us and share us with your friends and review us right here where you're listening. And check out our website, goodgovernmentshow.com, for extras. Help us keep telling stories of good government in action everywhere. Join us again for another episode right here. I'm Dave Martin, and this is The Good Government Show. The Good Government Show is a Valley Park production. Jim Ludlow, Dave Martin, that's me, and David Snyder are the executive producers. Our show is edited and produced by Jason Stershic. Please subscribe, then share us, and like us and review us. That's the best way to make sure we're able to keep telling these stories of our government working for all of us. Then listen to the next episode of The Good Government Show.